Welcome to English Insight Podcast. Learn English through story and real growth. In today's session, you're not just going to improve your English. You're going to discover a secret that schools never taught you. A trick so simple, yet so powerful, that once you understand it, your entire relationship with English will change forever. Whether you're just beginning or somewhere in the middle, this video is designed to help you grow naturally, confidently, and effortlessly. Put on your headphones, maybe open your notebook, and settle in, because what you're about to learn will stay with you for the rest of your life. Promise to viewer. By the end of this video, you will understand why you've been learning English the wrong way for years. Learn more than 10 new expressions effortlessly. Unlock a trick that fluent speakers use every day without realizing it. And gain the confidence to think, not just speak, in English. Ready? Let's begin. Now, before we dive into the trick itself, let me ask you something. Have you ever wondered why after years of studying English in school, memorizing grammar rules, repeating vocabulary lists, taking exams, you still struggle to speak naturally? Why is it that some people become fluent in 1 year while others study for 10 years and remain stuck? Why do children learn English faster than adults, even though adults are smarter and more disciplined? And here's the real question. If fluency is so important in the modern world, why didn't anyone teach you the most effective method? That open question, that gap, is exactly what we are going to fill today. Schools teach you grammar. Textbooks teach you vocabulary. But nobody teaches you the mental trick that makes English feel easy. Nobody shows you how fluent speakers think, how they connect ideas, how they switch between expressions without translating word by word. And that's the secret we're uncovering today, the English trick schools never teach. Let me start with a story. Years ago, a student told me, "I understand English, but I can't speak it." You've probably said the same sentence before. Everyone has. But the truth is, the problem wasn't his speaking. The problem was his thinking. He was thinking in his first language and trying to convert every sentence into English. And that's where 99% of learners get stuck. But here's the twist. Fluent speakers don't speak English. They think in patterns. Patterns, not rules. Patterns, not translations. And once you learn to recognize and use these patterns, your English starts working automatically, like a machine that finally switches on after years of being stuck. Here's the part that school never teaches. English is not learned through grammar. It is learned through chunks, small groups of words that native speakers use together, almost like ready-made pieces of language. Expressions like, "It turns out that the thing is, at the end of the day, I'm not sure about that," or, "Let me put it this way." School teaches you vocabulary like, "turn, day, thing, sure," but it never shows you how these words connect to form powerful, natural expressions. And here's where everything begins to click. Language is not a list of words. It's a rhythm, a chain, a pattern. Think about native speakers. They don't pause to remember grammar rules. They don't think subject, verb, object. They run on patterns, stored directly in the brain, and those patterns allow them to speak smoothly without effort. The real trick to learning English fast is not memorizing vocabulary. It's storing useful patterns in your mind until they become automatic. Let me open another loop for you, something we'll complete later. Why do students who spend hours memorizing grammar still freeze in real conversations? Is it because they don't know enough grammar? Or is it because they never trained their mind to think in chunks? Hold that thought, because we'll return to it soon. And when we do, the answer will change the way you study forever. Now let's go deeper. There's another part of the trick that no teacher explains. English is not spoken word by word. It is spoken idea by idea. Natives don't translate. They express ideas using pre-built pieces stored in their brain. And the moment you shift from word translation to idea expression, everything becomes easier. Fluency begins. Confidence grows. And suddenly English stops feeling like a subject and starts feeling like a skill. But here's the funny part. Students often think they need more vocabulary, when in reality, they only need better patterns. Let me show you something powerful. Which sentence feels easier? 1. I don't know what to say. 2. I am confused about constructing a sentence due to insufficient vocabulary. The first one is natural, simple, fast, because it's a chunk. The second one is correct, but no native speaker would ever use it in real life. This is why students sound unnatural. They build sentences word by word instead of using ready-made patterns. And here's the key. English is a puzzle where the pieces already exist. You're not supposed to build new pieces. You're supposed to learn how to fit the existing pieces together. Once you understand this, fluency becomes inevitable. But let me ask you something. Why didn't schools teach you this? Why didn't they explain that fluency comes from chunks, patterns, and mental shortcuts? Why didn't they show you the thinking process behind English? We'll answer that in a moment, and the answer might surprise you. But before we continue, remember this. Every problem you faced in English is not your fault. You were taught the wrong way. Today, we're fixing that. But something extraordinary happens when a person begins to take full ownership of the world inside their mind. At first, they expect transformation to come from the outside, from motivation, from the environment, from new opportunities. But with time, they discover a deeper truth. The greatest changes are engineered internally, long before they ever appear in real life. This is where the thinker evolves into something far more powerful, an architect of inner reality. A thinker observes ideas. A builder executes ideas. But an architect shapes ideas, refines them, strengthens them, and aligns them with a purpose that is larger than any temporary emotion, fear, or distraction. Architects of reality don't rush. They design. They adjust. They re-engineer their inner structure until every thought, emotion, and intention moves in the same direction. They understand that progress becomes unstoppable not when life becomes easier, but when the mind becomes structurally unshakable. And so, this stage of the journey is quieter than the first, less visible, less dramatic, but far more powerful. Because here, discipline begins to replace motivation. Clarity begins to replace confusion. And internal order begins to replace emotional chaos. This is the part no one sees. The part no one applauds. The part successful people never fully talk about because it's not glamorous. It's foundational. But foundations are everything. A skyscraper doesn't rise because of its top floors. It rises because of what lies underground. In the same way, a person doesn't become exceptional because of what people see. They become exceptional because of what no one sees. The hours of mental redesign, the internal conversations, the choices they repeat until they become instinct. And here is where the transformation deepens. When someone finally recognizes that their internal world is not a place to escape from, but a place to engineer deliberately, they stop being reactive. They stop being controlled by moods, noise, or opinions. Instead, they develop an internal alignment that guides them like a compass, even when the world is loud, uncertain, or unpredictable. This alignment doesn't happen overnight. It comes from the small but powerful decisions that are easy to ignore and easy to postpone. Choosing focus over distraction. Choosing discipline over comfort. Choosing long-term meaning over short-term pleasure. Choosing growth even when staying the same feels easier. Each choice becomes a brick. Each brick becomes a wall. And each wall becomes a structure strong enough to hold the weight of a new life. By this stage, the individual is no longer building from desire alone. They are building from intention, clarity, and inevitability. They reach a point where success is no longer a possibility. It becomes the only logical outcome of how they think, act, and live. This is also where fear begins to lose its power. Not because fear disappears, but because the architect has built something stronger than fear, a well-designed identity. A person who has designed themselves from the inside out no longer negotiates with doubt. They listen to it, but they don't surrender to it. They adjust, they learn, they adapt, but they never collapse. And when this internal structure becomes solid, something profound happens. The world begins to respond differently. People notice the clarity in the person's voice. Opportunities respond to their consistency. Life itself starts to move around them instead of against them. It's not luck. It's alignment. Because when the inner world becomes ordered, the outer world slowly rearranges itself to match that internal architecture. This stage marks the turning point. The shift from becoming who they wish they were to becoming who they are meant to be. Their thoughts sharpen. Their priorities shift. Their energy deepens. And for the first time, they feel something new, something powerful, something almost electric. Momentum. Momentum is different from motivation. Motivation fades. Momentum builds. Once it starts, it becomes harder to stop than to continue. And when a person reaches this level of internal momentum, their growth becomes exponential. They no longer need constant reminders. They no longer rely on external encouragement. They no longer depend on the world to validate their direction. They have become self-driven, self-aligned, and self-sustaining. And this is what marks the arrival into the third and most transformative stage, the stage where architects evolve into creators of influence. The stage where their inner alignment begins to radiate outward. The stage where they no longer just transform their own life. They begin to reshape the world around them. And that is where the real journey begins.